The applicant provided an example rendering of the type of homes that will be constructed on the property. They're a modern farmhouse architecture. And again, these are examples. They don't have the final drawings on these for the architecture. And back to that 10-foot landscape strip, I didn't mention that we are recommending as part of the conditions that those boundary trees that were planted several years ago in the 10-foot landscape strip remain. Traffic, of course, for 2 residential lots is low, as well as the impact to schools. Proposal supported by the future land use designation of the property, which is low-density residential, and the rezoning is appropriate as it relates to the surrounding properties. The applicant submitted a citizen participation plan. He did the outreach to property owners within 500 feet, and the report states that there are no public comments. We did hear this item at the December 4th Planning Commission meeting. There were a few residents in attendance that had concerns about tree removal as well as stormwater requirements. After consideration, the Planning Commission is recommending approval of the item with 9 different conditions. And that concludes staff presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook? Councilman Hypes?
Are there, Ms. Cook, are there any issues with the 2 curb cuts on either side of the exit from Hopewell Plantation?
No, and they did submit a preliminary sightline study that we looked at prior to the public hearing, but they're also required to go through that prior to a land disturbance permit. So we don't have an issue with the 2 curb cuts.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Director Cook? You did well. No questions. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Oh, there you go. It's green. Is it better now?
Now they can
Good evening,
hear you.
everyone. My name is Sid Sharma. Address is 12975 Coburn Road. I'm joined by Parminder Singh here, and also in the room we have Mr. Jason Davis, who's representing our engineering firm, and will be able to answer any technical questions. For today's request, we are requesting to rezone this property to R15 because we intend to build 2 single-family homes. And this will be our own personal forever home in the city of Alpharetta. So we are building this for ourselves. And it's definitely a very meaningful step for us to live and work in the same city. I work for ADP in city of Alpharetta, so we want to live here, work here, and contribute positively to the community. Coming to the details of the request, we are keeping density low, less than half of what R15 would allow. We are fully aligned with city conditions as mentioned by the staff comments. Also, we are very committed to preserving the trees as required by the city, and we will comply to any recompense if necessary. But yeah, overall very excited to make this our home in the city and contribute very positively to the neighborhood. We are here to take any questions if you have.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? You did well as well.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Orehusky, is that correct? I don't know that I've ever pronounced your last name before, but do we have any public comment cards on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item, now's your chance to do so. I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll move on and see if there's anyone here that might want to speak in opposition. Once again, I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion this evening to approve Z-25-17 Sharma/12975 Cogburn Road is presented to us this evening.
Second?
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second, I believe that was Councilman Dorito, was it not? Thought I recognized that voice. Any discussion? I'll just say that I did drive by there a couple of times recently, and that's a beautiful little piece of property, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Thank you for investing in Alpharetta. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And they're even playing music. You successfully won your case. Congratulations. So the next item up will be Z-25-16, Madewell, 204 Marietta Street. Director Cook, once again, you have the floor.
The next item before you, the area is shown to you hatched on the screen. And the request, if approved, would allow for the subdivision of 1.178 acre property into 2 for-sale, single-family detached lots in the downtown. Density proposed is 1.7 dwelling units per acre. Applicant proposes a rezoning from OP, Office Professional. Put the zoning map up here. To DTR, Downtown Residential. Property is located at 204 Marietta Street near the northeast corner of Marietta Street and Old Milton Parkway. Property is developed with a 2-story, 3,586 square foot commercial structure that was previously used as a residence. Surrounding properties are zoned R8AD, which is across the street, dwelling for sale. CUP to the north, and then DTR residential and C2 to the east. Property is located within the downtown overlay and has a comprehensive land use designation of mixed use, which supports the zoning proposal, which could be commercial or residential use. And here's the site plan proposed. Site plan shows the property being subdivided again into 2 lots instead of currently the 1 lot. Both of the homes would have access towards Marietta Street. Both of them have access towards Marietta, and of course this is Old Milton Parkway, Marietta. Both lots are depicted with a 20-foot front setback along Marietta Street, and each home would have a minimum of 2 side-by-side parking spaces with a garage and a code-compliant driveway, accommodating a minimum of 2 additional cars. At Marietta Street, along the street, it's depicted with the 6-foot planter and 6-foot sidewalk. 10-foot landscape strip is required along the front, and that's required to be outside of the 15-foot power line easement. And a 5-foot landscape strip is depicted along the east property line, 10-foot planted buffer along the west property line. 20-foot buffer is shown along Old Milton Parkway, and that's a code requirement. There's a lot of specimen trees, red oaks, within that 20-foot buffer, so those will be maintained as part of that buffer. The DTR zoning requires a minimum 10% amenity space, which can be met in yards, courtyards, and patios, so they meet that. They also meet the stormwater requirements. They're showing the stormwater underground. That's the rectangles that you see here. So they have shown approximate location. And just to discuss a little bit more about the trees, one of the trees that staff was recommending that they save, that they could not accommodate saving that tree. It's an oak that's located to the rear of the property. They are saving the specimen tree that was previously required to be saved as part of the office development. We did ask the applicant, because they could not incorporate the water oak that's located to the rear because of the size of the home, that plantings along the street, that they put a 4-inch caliper or 6-inch caliper tree which will give more of a canopy immediately along Marietta Street. Instead of the typical 2-inch or 4-inch, they're going to try to find the 6-inch caliper. They also submitted the architecture. So this is proposed for Lot 1, French Eclectic style, which is a style that's allowed as one of our styles within the downtown code. The other style they submitted on Lot 2 is federal style. Our downtown consultant had some very minor comments. They did say that they could address those to meet the requirements of the architectural guidelines. We also looked at the request. We looked at the downtown plan. We found that it's consistent with the vision of the downtown master plan and comprehensive land use plan for the property, which is mixed use. Designation, like I stated earlier, allows for single-use development, residential or commercial, as well as mixed use. We believe that the requested rezoning is appropriate as it relates to the use and development of adjacent and nearby properties. The report submitted by the applicant for the citizen participation plan states that property owners within 500 feet were contacted regarding the applicant's intent, and the report states that a public comment was received at the community zoning information meeting, and it was concerns over protecting the tree canopy. And this item was heard at the December 4th Planning Commission meeting. There was no one present to speak in favor or against the request. And the Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend approval to you with 15 conditions. And that's the Planning Commission recommendation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook? Well done again. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't look over. Councilman Dorito, you have the floor.
Director Cook, under condition, make sure I get this right, 10, talks about the tree number 4, 31-inch water oak. Is that
That's
tree
this
you're
one.
referring to?
Yes.
That's going to be removed?
So after the planning, we talked about this at the Planning Commission meeting because there was a condition that they save both of these. This is the other one,
Right.
6, and this is 4. So the Planning Commission changed the condition and said, work with staff if that cannot be saved, and that is when we would require the larger oak trees along Marietta Street at the time of planting, probably 6-inch caliper.
At the community zoning meeting, were these trees referred to as requesting to be saved, or what was
No,
the-
it was a general comment about tree canopy, and there's a lot of large trees along the back of the property too. So it was a general concern about tree canopy in general.
And all those other trees are going to remain?
Yes.
Okay.
The only one that will not remain that's shown here is this canopy here.
Okay.
But these trees would remain.
And it says in the condition, developer shall work with staff to provide an alternative. That's what you referred to about bolstering up the landscaping?
Yes, because we're really trying to get a future canopy where there's an elm or an oak canopy over the streets. So putting in larger trees at the time of planting will help accomplish that.
Thank you, Director Cook.
Do we have any other questions for Director Cook? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on. I believe Councilman Frady
Just
had
got,
one
just got
question.
one question. I know a few years ago, from a design element, because a lot of people can be asking me this, is DRB had like 4 or 5 choices for design, and that's expanded today for the downtown.
Yes.
I think there's like, what, 10 or 12 different choices, because I think they're seeing new designs, and people are just asking those questions of, we're more open, I guess, today than we were before.
Yeah, so we have 10 different designs, more choices than we originally started out with. And of course, any architecture within the downtown overlay is required to meet one of those styles.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Director Cook? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Hi there. Hi there. Tori Young with Madewell, 18 Cummings Street. And this is Bill Rouse, our civil engineer. Good evening. Thanks for being here. Congratulations. And we're excited about this project. It's been a labor of love between us and the current owner. And we actually have a client who's very excited about the prospect of being able to build there, and so hope to get those going quickly and make a beautiful streetscape for Marietta Street. It's beautiful on one side, and the other side's just making headway now, so it's good.
That all you had to say?
One note is, and this was part of the Planning Commission conversation, we will do our dead level best to locate 6-inch caliper trees, what we found, and it's probably because of all of the, construction that's gone on over the years. It's hard to come by 6-inch caliper, but we will do our dead level best. We feel very confident we can up the ante to 4-inch, but we will be in pursuit of 6-inch, which obviously helps us with recompense anyway. So there's incentive for us to do it, but it's also our commitment to try to figure that out if we can.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Councilman Hypes.
Hey, Mr. Young, describe briefly, just so you're addressing it, how are you going to stage construction? It's a narrow street. It's somewhat built out. Get two side-by-side lots. So how are you going to stage your construction materials, your vehicles for the building of the house? When they're building big houses on some streets, you can get by, other streets maybe not so much. So describe that if you would.
No, that's a good question. So the setbacks there for the house is, I believe, 30 plus feet. So our plan is to come in and create a pad across the entire property as it sits. So both lots will have a continuous parking area that we can, access and be on during the construction process.
So there shouldn't be any need to have vendors or laborers or construction vehicles on Marietta Street itself during construction.
That's correct. And, obviously it's that's an ongoing conversation that we have to remind people when you have new people come in, and we will have signage up that says to such, and then we'll remind them gently if someone's parking out on the street. But the goal will be to keep them inside of our work zone.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Brady.
I do one question. Well, I think in rezoning this, right, for Marietta Street, we have commercial or business. It used to be homes, right? So then they kind of changed to commercial. So in this change, it changes it back to residential, I think, for this home. But it might affect the property right next to you. I think there's a daycare kind of next to you. And when you make that switch, then all of a sudden you're now residential, and it creates this 50-foot buffer, right, between if they want to go change their they would have a restriction of being 50 foot off the property line because now you're residential on that western lot. We want to make sure that that's understood to that property owner, because today the structure is within that and that moves. I'm not sure if it got added as a condition or not into it, but we want to be, okay, well then never mind. So I couldn't, but just know this might come up, or at least from a council perspective, I think we need just be thoughtful of that for that property next door. By doing this could trigger them looking back at us as a hardship. So that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Based on that answer, though, I have a question for Ms. Eswine. Ms. Eswine, does that put the city of Alpharetta in legal jeopardy if that were the case?
I'm sorry, can you repeat what would be the question of the legal jeopardy again?
Kathy, would you like to address it for Ms. Eswine?
I think I can if you want me to real quick. I think what the question is that this rezoning to a housing or a residential zoning designation would impose a different buffer on the adjacent property than that buffer exists today. And I think the mayor then is questioning whether or not that additional buffer distance is a hardship to that adjoining property.
I understand. I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you were getting
No, that's
at.
fine. I
So,
just, like I
I
said, it
believe
did occur to me that that
Miss-
might be an issue that we would have to deal with later on.
Right, and Ms. Cook and I have discussed that at length, as well as another attorney in our office. And so that buffer would be required on the other property, and at a time when that property went to expand or develop further, then they would have to come in and apply for that variance and show whether or not they have a hardship. We would look at that under the criteria that's set forth in the Unified Development Code, and you would be able to weigh it at that time. Certainly, something that the council could look at is the fact that this property had been commercial and has gone to residential, which may have been not anticipated originally by that neighboring property owner, but we would ultimately be looking at that criteria, and I'm sure that community development staff would provide an analysis with a recommendation on that point, and I'll defer to Ms. Cook to elaborate on that further.
Yes.
Ms. Cook, please elaborate.
Yes, so if there's an expansion, then a 50-foot undisturbed buffer would be required, so this property owner would have to come forward and request a variance. There's no buffer required, of course, for the current operation, and I don't know what their future plans are. It may be that this becomes another residential lot. We did talk to Molly's team, and the only thing that the attorney said that could put as a condition of zoning, it really is just a notification. It's a notification, basically, that says developer property owner shall record a notice in the chain of title of the property in the deed records maintained by Fulton County, identifying the rezoning of the subject property, and that the impact of doing so may cause adjacent property owners to seek variances from requirements. So it's really just a notification to whoever's buying this property that your neighbor may in the future expand. I mean, and this is a condition you could add.
Well, and that's,
if you
the main
wanted to.
reason I asked this question is to avoid any concerns. Would the applicant have any objection to having a condition that would say they would accept a reduction in the?
No problems.
Okay, thanks. So, do we have any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Hordusky, did I get it right?
Close.
I didn't have it in front of me. Just call you Grace?
Yes, Grace is working. Perfect.
Thank you. Grace has stepped in because Ms. Shapiro was not able to join us this evening, so appreciate that. Do we have any public comment?
We do
cards?
not have any public comment cards.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item, now's your chance. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment in favor. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion this evening to approve Z-25-16 Madewell/204 Marietta Street.
Second that.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Mitchell.
Can I draw that back? I'd like to make an adjustment to this by adding the language that Ms. Cook presented this evening on the overhead and handed out to council without reading it.
And I'll second that as well.
All right, sorry.
Will that make its way into the record?
Yes.
Did that include the fact that they were a condition that they can't oppose?
No, I didn't put a condition you can't oppose. I don't think I can really do that, but I can
Oh, okay.
put this notice in there so that they understand.
Can we or can we not? I'm sorry, I just want to clarify with Ms. Eswine.
We would recommend against that as a
Pardon?
condition. The condition requiring that they not oppose, I wouldn't recommend doing that.
That's all I wanted to hear. Needed a clear answer. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Is everyone clear on the motion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Congratulations. It's unanimous. Don't confuse me. I have a hard enough time as it is. So as I had mentioned earlier, there will be several deferrals that were on the agenda item originally. We will not be covering. So if I am following correctly here, next business item is the new business for the City of Alpharetta and Johns Creek Parks Without Borders. If Director Rogers could just come forward and explain this. There's been a bit of a change recently.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Good evening, council. Yes, this item is, of course, in concert with the City of Johns Creek as a Parks Without Borders Memorandum of Understanding. Johns Creek moved this item to January the 12th on their agenda in 26, and we are requesting tonight, staff is requesting a deferral to January the 5th so that we're moving in tandem with Johns Creek. Nothing wrong with the item, we just want to be closer to the time that they're going to approve it when they vote on it, when we vote on it.
Okay. Is everyone on council clear about that item?
Did you say January 5th? January the 5th, yes, sir.
Does anyone have any objection to removing that from the agenda?
If I can get I think I would recommend having a motion and a vote on the postponement.
Okay. Do I have a motion to postpone?
You will, Your Honor, Mr. Mayor.
No, we got the honor out there.
Yeah.
I'm just a politician.
Yeah, you had me confused out there. I make a motion that council defer the current item on Parks Without Borders with Johns Creek to the January 5, 2026 meeting.
Have a motion by Councilman Hype, second. I believe that was Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. It passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Eswine, for clarifying. So next up on the agenda is the Municipal Court Chief Judge and Associate Judge Employment Extension Agreements. Ms. Eswine?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first item. We've got a few related municipal court agreements here with our current Judge Will, as well as our current substitute judge, Jamie Bendel. We have existing employment agreements for their service in municipal court, and those expire at the end of this year. And so these are two simple extension agreements that extend the terms for each of those judges for an additional 2 years. And so we would ask for approval of those, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Eswine. Does anyone on council have a question for Ms. Eswine on this item? Thank you very much. Grace, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not have any public comment cards.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance to do so. I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the municipal judge, court, chief judge, and associate judge employment extension agreements.
We have a motion by Councilman Mitchell and a second by Councilman Hypes. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say thank you for the job that you both are doing. It's nice not to hear any issues coming out of the courts, and you all are managing it well, and I think everybody's real happy with the service that you all are providing. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the recognition. We ready to vote? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Thank you for your service. Looking forward to 2 more years. So next item up will be substitute municipal court judge employment agreement. Ms. Eswine, once again, you have the floor.
Thank you. As I just mentioned, we do already have one substitute judge with an agreement for municipal court, and he and Judge Bendel and Judge Will actually, for instance, would serve the jail on a rotating basis. This would provide for an additional substitute judge with Jared Mitnick. under the same terms largely as what is already in place in the substitute agreement that we have for Jamie Bendel. And so that would just provide more flexibility and capacity within our court system. And so we'd ask for approval of this as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Councilman Hydes.
So this is on a per-case basis, is that correct?
So it's per session.
Per session?
And, yes, and the way that it's structured right now, I believe it's set up as an alternating weeks going to and serving the jail. So once the jail opens, that would occur again. And otherwise, there may be periods of time when the substitute judge is on call or maybe serving municipal court. And so they're paid on a per session basis.
And so there's, so it really it's budget neutral, because if this substitute judge is substituting, then another judge who would be being paid per session is not performing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Councilman Dorito.
Just follow up on Councilman Hype's question. So when the jail opens, will there be additional need for the judges? I would think so, right?
The substitute and Judge Will and Judge Bendel's agreements already contemplate serving the judge, serving the jail. They serve as judge, and also serve the jail. So I don't know that there would be an increased need. There was already service to the jail when it was open under the supervision by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and so I would expect it would generally just resume.
And I'm just curious, if we get these intergovernmental agreements with other cities to utilize this jail, right? How does it work for, do we utilize, we would utilize our judges, right, for any arrestees?
I would generally expect we could, yes, but we
Can they use their own judge in their own cities?
I'll look into that with my office as we're working on those IGAs and those terms and
Okay.
see where we land on that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion tonight to approve the municipal court chief judge and associate judge employment extension agreement.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Did I forget to go to public comment on this item? Thank you for correcting me, Grace.
Oh, we have no public
You got to
comments.
keep me straight. Thank you very much. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and speak on this item? I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll close public comment. We have a motion. Is everyone clear on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes then. And it does pass unanimously. Thank you for sticking around. Okay. So Ms. Eswine, do you need to present on this one?
Yes, this will be me as well. I was waiting for you to announce the item. I apologize. So the next item, the substitute solicitor employment agreements. We previously approved, or the city council previously approved substitute solicitor agreements in the event that our solicitor was unable to attend court. Essentially, you know, she's on a salaried basis, but if she takes a vacation or had to go out on medical leave or any of those kinds of situations, we would be without a solicitor in municipal court. And so you previously approved substitute solicitor agreements with, I believe we had 2, and due to shifting obligations by those individuals, we are proposing under the same terms as the substitute solicitor agreements that we entered into previously, 3 new substitute solicitor agreements with Kiana Chenault, Kenneth Mitchell Jr., and Thomas Elijah Francis to serve as substitute city solicitors. This would be on a per court session basis, so the compensation is $300 per court session, and otherwise is set up as making sure that these substitute solicitors are independent contractors. They don't get benefits or anything along those lines. This is simply so that they can fill in on an as-needed basis when we have a need in court. And I believe Kelsey is here to answer any questions, should you need to have any further detail.
Do we have any questions on this item? Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Ora Husky. A little better?
Yes, much better.
I'm a slow learner, but I can pick it up. So, if anyone would like to come forward, now's your opportunity to do so. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor. Move to approve the employment agreements by and between the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, and with Kiana Chenault, Kenneth Mitchell Jr., and Thomas Elijah Francis to serve as substitute Alpharetta City solicitors.
I have a motion by Councilman DeRito, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So now we have the item, which is the substitute solicitor employment, correct?
That was the one we just did.
We just
I think
did
we're on
that.
E.
We're on
Oh, that's, okay, I've got my agenda screwed up. Resolution condemnation of parcel 1 of Alpha Loop DeVore Road project.
Okay, so I'll read the resolution and then present the item. I think I have the next several items, so thank y'all's patience with me tonight. A resolution by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta authorizing the city attorney to exercise the city's powers of eminent domain to acquire certain interests in property situated in the city of Alpharetta for public purposes, including public transportation purposes. This is, as you mentioned, for parcel 1 of the DeVore Road project. This is tax parcel number 1225-820-696725, which is located at 11700 Haynesbridge Road. The owner is Quick Trip, and this is for the Alpha Loop DeVore Road project. The estimated just and adequate compensation is $7,800, and it is for 0.002 acres, which is 65.5 square feet of fee simple right-of-way, 2,107.611 square feet of a temporary construction easement, as well as 1 driveway easement. So for deadline purposes, we have to get this condemnation approved by the city council. However, we are in communication with the property owner, and so we're still hopeful that we'll be able to resolve it. But would ask for your approval of the resolution at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any questions for Ms. Eswine? Ms. Orehusky, do we have any public comment?
We do not have any public comment cards.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council on this item?
Yes, Mayor, I make a motion council adopt the resolution to condemn property interest in tax parcel number 122582069600725 at 11700 Haynesbridge Road of the Alpha Loop DeVore Road project parcel number 1 and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second. I have a motion by Councilman Hypes and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move on to the next item, which is the second reading of the ordinance for professional bondsman text amendments. Ms. Eswine, you are a busy lady this evening.
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 12 of Chapter 10 of the Code of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, known as the city's professional bondsperson's ordinance, to amend requirements for applications for permitting, to provide for renewal applications, to amend regulations regarding the denial or revocation of a permit, to provide for requirements and procedures governing bondsmen, to provide for bond posting and forfeiture, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. So as you mentioned, we've already had the first reading for this. Following the first reading last week, I did make a few changes to the ordinance consistent with the discussion that we had and the concerns that Councilman Hypes had brought to my attention related to the application requirements for different legal entities. And so the application now mirrors the same as what we have recently approved by way of the Massage and Spa Establishment Ordinance and other similar licensing ordinances, where it sets forth very clearly who is required to come in and sign an application and meet the requirements for the licensing. So for instance, an individual, if it's a limited liability company, if it's a corporation, all of that is more clearly outlined, and it is actually almost verbatim language from what we have used in other ordinances in the city. I also just otherwise cleaned up consistently throughout the ordinance to make sure that that was clear, but that's the only substantive change that we have made at this time.
Okay, do we have any questions for Ms. Eswine on this?
So,
Thank you, ma'am.
just a couple of other comments. So once this is approved, we have the ordinance currently on the books, right? And had suspended the enforcement of that while we were reviewing and amending this. Once this is effective, that suspension and deferring to the Fulton County Sheriff's approved list would no longer be in effect. We are still working on, I think, finalizing some of the administrative procedures related to implementing this. And so while the actual ordinance itself lists out, I believe, shall be effective immediately upon adoption, if y'all vote to approve this today, I would ask that there be maybe either defer to Chris Lagerbloom as the city administrator for when all administrative paperwork is ready and finalized, or otherwise, postpone effectiveness for, 2 weeks. I think we could probably get it done in that amount of time. Just want to make sure that if the jail opens before we have all of that done, we are still looking at having a bail bondsman process. And don't want to jump the gun on that. So rather than effective immediately, I would either defer effectiveness for 2 weeks or put it in Chris's approval hands.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions about that? Fantastic. Zora Husky, do we have any?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council on this item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve ordinance professional bondsman tax amendment as presented this evening, along with Ms. Eswine's verbiage to defer to the city administrator to implement it upon opening of the jail.
Second?
Got some head nods on that one.
Everybody clear on the motion? All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Dorito, I believe it was. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So next we'll move on to the ordinance for the insurer license fees text amendments. Second reading again.
An ordinance by the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 2 of Chapter 42, Insurer License Fees of the Code of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to provide for effective dates, to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith, and for other purposes.
Thank you, ma'am. Based on that presentation, do we have any questions? I don't see any, so you must have done a great job.
And there have been no changes since the first reading.
There you go. Ms. Orohusky, do we have any public comment?
We do not have any.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak, now's your opportunity to do so on this item. We'll close public comment since I don't see anyone coming forward. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor, move to approve insurance license fees text amendments as outlined by Ms. Eswine.
Second.
We have a motion to approve as outlined by Councilman Dorito and a second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously, so we'll move right along to the ordinance for the mobile food vendors and pawn shops text amendments. This is the second reading again. So Ms. Eswine?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 10 of Chapter 10, mobile food vendors, and Article 11 of Chapter 10, pawn shops of the Code of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend provisions regarding licensing requirements and fees, to provide for effective dates, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. And there have been no changes since the first reading of this ordinance either.
Why, thank you. Now, my agenda says Director Tom Harris needs to come up here and present on this item. Way to work, man, way to work. Do we have any public comment cards on this item?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. I don't see anyone come forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance to amend Article X of Chapter 10, the mobile food vendors, and Article 11 of Chapter 10, titled Pawn Shops of the Code of City of Alpharetta, Georgia.
Have a motion by Councilman Brady and a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor, motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So the next item will be the work session. This is a portion of the meeting where there will not be any vote on this item. It's a discussion regarding the power installation on the Alpha Loop for Lights on the Loop and other projects. Mr. Lagerbloom, I believe you were going to conduct this discussion.
Do my best to just do a quick little discussion on this and just looking for some direction. And I didn't know that I was going to be looking for this direction, but this is one of those items that made it to the agenda because we have two members of council that wanted to have a discussion on it. And that's always a healthy and good thing to do. So by way of just a little bit of background, last week it came in as a request to consider potentially a funding gap that may exist with the Alpha Loop Foundation and the Lights on the Loop project that's out there right now. It just started this last weekend. And it came initially as a request of what it would look like to enter into an MOU with the Alpha Loop Foundation and actually write them a check, for example, and allow them to use those funds to fund their project. As I peeled the onion away and got to the inner core of what was really being asked for, there apparently, many of you have been approached, I understand, there's apparently a gap in the funding of temporary power for the Alpha Loop itself versus a permanent installation of power out there. And if this project is going to go on year over year, it would make a lot of sense to at some point install permanent power because temporary power is at almost 80% of the cost of what permanent power was. So if you do permanent once, it probably is a cost saver in the second year. So that's a pretty quick return. I elected to put this on as a work session item because once I realized that what was being asked for was not necessarily a contribution to the Alpha Loop Foundation. In fact, rather than even considering some sort of contribution to them on a dollar-for-dollar basis that they would just pay to Mirror Electric to do an electric project, I felt as though it would be more appropriate to have a discussion and find out if you all, as the policy setters, you all as the body, want us to add this project to our list of capital projects. And if you do, then that would be a way that this could, we could get to the same end goal that the couple of council members had that approached me about this topic. We would just take a little bit different of a path. There's really no reason to give somebody money to then have them give it to Mirror Electric when we can, as a city, we could just engage our on-call vendor to do the work and we could manage that process specifically. As any good point of discussion topic comes up amongst multiple different opinions, I've had the opportunity to speak with many of you on this topic. I don't know that everybody is aligned on it, and I guess that's why this work session is helpful, so that I could just get a sense as to whether or not the collective council, or the majority of the council, would like to see this done or would like to pass and move on to the next topic. So that's my presentation. That's what's at hand, and that's just the feedback that I could use from y'all tonight, so I know what to do going forward.
Mayor Pro Tem?
So we don't need it right now, the request. The request is for next year's lighting.
That's correct. The lights on the loop are functioning now with the temporary installation of power. This would be work that would be done at some point in the next year.
I mean, to me, it's a parks budget. Doesn't even have to be midterm. We can just look to move it to the parks budget in July. get it approved and then spend it when, the time is appropriate. I think it makes sense. I think it's a nominal amount for what we're about to put on and possible other engagements on that section of the loop and literally light up that part of the loop. So that's what I would recommend.
Councilman Heights?
Well, the timing couldn't be better to bring this item forward since I walked the loop the other night, and it's really amazing. So they've done a great job. So you get a chance to assess the value of what's being asked for. My understanding is there is that amount of money and more still in the parks bond allocated toward the loop.
If you all were to suggest that we should fund this, that is where I would take it from, yes. There would be dollars available in the Parks Bond.
Yeah, so this
For the
could
loop.
be done internally with money that's already, and then it would just be a vote to appropriate or just handling it administratively. But it's, again, somewhat budget neutral. I'd be $20,000 away from some other loop project in the bond, but still, this is a loop project, and it's in the bond, correct?
That's correct.
That's what I would do.
Councilman Mitchell?
Thank you. Yes, I attended the other night as well, and there was a large crowd from the community who was enjoying it and loving having their photos made there. And so it's very much a community asset, what you all did. Thank you for the folks from the Alpha Loop Foundation for your service, and I know this is just half of the committee, but as I understand that you already wrote a check for $17,000 or whatever to Muir Electric, and you got the cost savings, and you installed some permanent electrical, is that correct? So you're asking for that to be reimbursed since it's the city's property, is that correct? Whoever, could one of you come speak to that? Is that okay?
I'm on, yes. What we're asking for is for money to go towards future permanent power installation. So we did a small section south of the North Winds Tunnel, and the rest of it was all temporary power that is lighting north of the tunnel up to Chelsea Walk. So our ask is that the city support funding permanent installation power there prior to the next lights on the loop.
And I'm sorry,
in
could you give
December.
your name and address?
I'm
please?
sorry, Karen Richard. 11680 Dancliff Trace, Alpharetta, Georgia. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Richard, I'm teasing, but for the public's sake. So for future installation for the permanent lighting, electrical hookup.
Correct, north of the tunnel up to Chelsea Walk, yes.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much.
thank
I'm
you.
in full support of doing that out of the loop, out of the parks bond.
So if I could, were you finished? Okay. Director Rogers, could you come forward for a second? I just have a few questions about this. So I recall having a conversation with Director Cook. Kathy Cook had mentioned this issue to me months ago. I don't recall exactly the time, but I am aware that this was a request that she had asked me about. And so I wanted to make sure I understood how we're in this position at this point. And my question is, if this was something contemplated when the design was made for the Alpha Loop, I mean, Parks and Rec Department built that section, and nobody voted against putting lighting on there. Can you help us understand why it wasn't a priority at the time?
Well, at the time, the lighting that is currently on the...
Morgan, can you turn on your microphone?
So, when the loop was built, enough electricity was put in just for the low voltage lighting that's going in. There was never any thought on the city's part about activating that with a program like the lights on the loop. So the foundation, which is one of their key roles, is to bring the Alpha Loop to the people, get folks using the Alpha Loop, and to program the Alpha Loop. this was their idea. So the thought that that was going to happen when we were building it just didn't occur to us, that that was something that was coming.
Okay. Thank you for explaining. Like I said, I knew this was something that had come up, but I went back and looked in the capital budget for this year, and I couldn't even find it as a recommended or non-recommended or anything. So I was just curious how we ended up at this point, and it was never contemplated until now.
And then last year, when the foundation started the lights on the loop, it was basically concentrated around the tunnel. And so it was such a huge success, even with the limited lighting they had this year, they just expanded that. And then now that they've expanded it, they know that it's probably going to be something that the community wants to continue. So the idea of replacing the temporary light with the permanent was one that they brought forward.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Mitchell?
That's a good point. I was wondering, so in the future, as we build out the loop, and the foundation raises money and stuff like that, can we include like 120 voltage or whatever the voltage is, and also the low wattage volting as I can't even speak, as the loop is being built?
Right. Well, as the director of public works often says, you can build anything if you have enough money. So yeah, we can certainly contemplate that. I don't know that if I think we need to have some serious conversations as to what is the rest of the loop going to be programmed like this, the section that is happening now. We just never thought about programming the loop up till the lights on the loop, to be honest with you. So it's something that can certainly be done, but there will be a cost associated with that as we move forward, and just be something that we'll have to work, I guess, as a staff and then bring to this body when we're doing that. I would assume that would be the correct procedure to do that.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Hipes?
Yeah, sort of commenting on Councilman Mitchell, I would very much want to be targeted in terms of that additional cost to put in electrical infrastructure. We have areas of the loop that are basically wide sidewalks that are not going to lend themselves to taking advantage of that additional cost. And of course, the area that we're highlighting right now is anything but a wide sidewalk. It's a beautiful trail, through the forest, and it's just amazing. So I think we need to be thoughtful and very intentional if we're going to incur additional cost to put in that type of infrastructure, that we have some return on that. So.
Councilman Dorito?
Yeah, just for the record, I want to state that our Public Works Director is a pretty smart guy, and unfortunately, he's been influenced, I think, very heavily by our Finance Director. So, yeah, I've been involved with the dialogue with some of the foundation members, and I also want to echo thanks. I was there the other night when I lit up the path. Awesome job by the foundation, both in raising the money to get it where it's at, and there's no doubt this is going to continue to grow, I think, in years ahead. It's going to become one of those things that Alpharetta is probably going to be known for, where other communities can come and visit the lights on the loop as well. Just additional context, as far as, at least from my perspective, where this issue came up was when the foundation found out that they would have to pay $17,000 for temporary lighting. Now, maybe a portion of that is maybe lighting up the tunnel. I didn't hear that till tonight, but so they would have to pay that every year, So it made sense to try to put permanent lighting where the lights on the loop would take place, and so we can grow, and it wouldn't cost the foundation or the city in the future that type of money for temporary power. I also see the use of the permanent power access possibly be used for other elements on that section of the Alpha Loop, whether it be people sitting on park benches want to plug in their cell phones, whatever. We probably could see other uses of it in the future on top of the lights on the loop. I did speak to Mr. Lagerbloom about the funding and the source of funding from the Parks bond, or the bonds for the Alpha Loop. the money's there. We confirmed that with the Public Works Director. And so it would make sense to utilize those monies since it's a city asset at the end of the day, and it's a citizen asset at the end of the day as well. And I think it'd be a great benefit for the city at a very cost-effective price to make that right decision. And when they're ready to do it, it makes sense to have our city administrator just administrate that with the foundation board members.
Councilman Brady?
So as a finance guy and representing finance and liaison, so sometimes it's not necessarily what you want to do, it's how you do it. So I think it's a great infrastructure improvement to go through. But I think, I hope after the last couple of years, I've always kind of said nobody likes surprises. So with that is, if it's in the budget, it's in the department, and it's planned for, as long as we know it's coming and it's planned for, I don't have a problem with it. But as long as we go through the right process to do it, that's all I ask. Thank you.
Has everyone had a chance? Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Director. So I don't disagree. My concern on this item isn't about the value of the item itself. Like I said, I had met with Kathy a while back, and it has been a while. It wasn't something that had been a significant event at that point. But as I recall that conversation, my point was it just doesn't need to come out of the general fund because we're already pretty strapped on the general fund. But if we're going to use bond money, then we're just spending it on this rather than getting an extra 100 feet or whatever it is or some other amenity for the Alpha Loop. So I don't object to that, but my concern, and I think some of you can appreciate this. I know Councilman Brady has been very intentional since he's joined us in trying to make sure that we are anticipating our capital needs and ranking their priorities and not spending money on a whimsy. And not that this is a whimsy, but from time to time, there's always something that comes up. And I appreciate his efforts on trying to get a plan, and we have one. I mean, we have a long-term capital plan, but we haven't been as intentional about assessing what those needs are. So I'm grateful for him doing that, and I say that because one of the challenges I face as the mayor is, regardless of how our votes go, people hold the mayor responsible for everything we do. And to give you an idea of why the process is so important to me is I'm held responsible for everything that happens here, and that's okay. We usually get it right. Maybe not our council, but our staff, and things like that. But a couple of things this past couple of weeks, I just want to share why I'm so sensitive to going outside of the general cycle of our budgeting, because I got an email from a woman in ABA who volunteers every Saturday for the farmers market, and she's been an active part of this community. I won't use her name, but she sent me an email saying how frustrated she was because she has a small home business. She has a small home business that's a travel agency that she works from home, and she was just stating how shocked she was and how disappointed she was because we felt forced to increase the fee, a business license for a home business. And I take these things to heart. And so I don't want us to waste money unnecessarily. And I want to make sure when we're investing, whether it's $20,000 or 20 million, I want us to make sure it's something that's been contemplated, not because, I'll give you another example. I got a letter, a crayon-written letter by a 6-year-old young man named James, and he's wanting to ride skateboards in Wills Park. And as long as I have faith in the process, whether I win that vote or whether I get the things that I want, or I trust the process. But when I have to go to the public, I need to be able to say, sorry, James, I understand you want that, but this is why you can't. And sorry, I can't get, there's another guy, and I can't remember his name, lives somewhere off of Kimball Bridge. And ever since we opened up the park at Kimball Bridge, on a regular basis, he lets me know, I think he does it by email, that he and his friends wish there was a swing set at that park. And you know, instead of just telling them no, I like to say, hey, there's a process. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be able to come up with enough money to put swings there. But I mean, I'm sure y'all do too, thousands of requests over the course of a year. Some of them are legitimate, some of them are little, and some of them are big. And I think it's important, especially since we've got 2 new council members coming on board, to understand that, look, our resources are limited regardless of what people believe, and that we have to support the process and make sure that, look, that's why I went through this whole fiscal year budget, to see if there was anything on there about the Alpha Loop lights. It wasn't even on the recommended. It wasn't on the non-recommended. And I was like, well, okay, so what's the urgency to step out of our budget cycle? But we do a mid-year budget adjustment, and I'm fine with that. We'll have that discussion and vote one way or the other. But at least I think our residents, our taxpayers, deserve to know that there's a legitimate process here. It's not just who knows who or who wants to do something. So that being said, do you think you have enough clarity?
I think I do. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll wrap up the...
I'm not clear, but what's the clarity that we're talking about?
The clarity I have moving forward is that this will be presented as a part of the budget process in the ordinary course, but that there's generally support of the city council to support it.
And the funds would be from the...
Correct. If allocated, the funds will come from, yes, come from bond funds, not the general fund.
So I don't think we're in danger of exhausting the Alpha Loop silo in the parks bond, but we would want to earmark that to preserve it based on direction, I would think.
That's correct. You know, I could go into the story, but as long as there's not a tunnel underneath Haynesbridge Road, there's going to be dollars available for allocation in the Alpha Loop Fund.
Are we clear on that? You're clear on that?
I am. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Just want to make sure before we wrap it up. So, do we have public comment?
No, sir, we do not.
However, if anyone would like to come forward, like I said, we're not voting on this item, so this doesn't have to be to this. But if you have anything you wanted to share, you have 3 minutes to come up to the podium and share it. I don't see anyone. Oh, we do see someone. We have a taker. To smile like that this time of night, man, I'm impressed.
My name is DJ Tishal, 2010 Winthrop Park, Alpharetta. Just a little bit actually input based on the discussions, and as a suggestion, some recommendation was being asked. The mayor also was being concerned actually on the budget side, and I'm sure everybody's putting the good input on what needs to be done. I like Alpha Loop, it's a really great project, and I like the lighting also. I have not walked yet. I will be actually in the next few days, but I know we'll be discussed on the budget next year based on the suggestion. We also have to put as recommendation, we'll be setting an example or a standard. What do we stop and what do we continue? We have to look at, this is a big project, 8 mile long Alpha Loop. So if we do lights on that specific area, we also have to need to consider how far we go. So that needs to be as part of the discussion next year during the time of the discussion. It's just a suggestion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Point well taken. Do we have any reports?
Just a
Councilman Hypes first.
Oh.
No, I'll defer and then I'll...
Oh, Councilman Hypes defers to Councilman Mitchell.
It was just a brief one. In my short thank you to the public, I failed to thank my spouse, Mike Castleberry, who's been with me through thick and thin. So I wanted to mention him and thank you all again. Thank you.
Councilman Hypes.
And as we're doing thank yous, I know he's been acknowledged, but it's a real joy to see James Drinkard out here in the audience. Means a lot, I'm sure, to Donald, but to the rest of us that you came down, and we wish you all the best in Warner Robins, but it's great to see you.
It's that Georgia Southern education, man. If there's no other reports, Councilman Dorito, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
That's okay. First, I think I owe Councilman Mitchell an apology because listening to the presentations this evening, I had no clue that you had something to do with those urns in the rotunda of City Hall, which kind of resemble those beautiful, beautiful planterns around City Center that I think you had a lot to do with, and I had criticized those in the past in a joking way, but I didn't know that they resembled the ones that are also in the rotunda, so I have to congratulate you on that. And just kidding. But I'm going to miss you, Donald, and best of luck and good health to you for the future. I'm sure you'll stay involved in some way. I really just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. We live in a very blessed city of Alpharetta, Georgia. I was at an event with the mayor this afternoon, and Congressman McCormick spoke about this kind of, how many miles he said around the city of Alpharetta, like 4 miles or 40 miles, I forget, but 40 miles, and how it's like the richest part in the country, the richest community in the country, and how he really gave accolades to the city of Alpharetta for being such a great city and well-ran, and very much thanks to our professionals that serve us daily, over 450 strong. And it was great to hear that, Mayor, from our congressman, with a bunch of frankly, very high-level folks that were on this panel discussion that we were invited to attend. But it made me think about how great this city is, not just because of the city council, but all the residents and the people here that have contributed so much. And so I just want to send my blessings for a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. I hope everybody spends some really good quality time with their friends and family, because we are a blessed city, and I can't say that enough. And I feel very humbled and honored to be one of the people that are serving you daily. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
And I'll just note for the record that Congressman McCormick is a constituent. He likes the place so much, he moved here.
Yes, he did.
Any other reports? Do we have an executive session necessary? So I believe this will be our last meeting for the city council this year, unless there's some emergency, and hopefully there will not be. I agree with Councilman Dorito. We wish you all the best. We wish you a little peace as we go through these holidays. And if you're a Christian, don't forget the Christ in Christmas. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to adjourn and wish you all the best, and may God continue to bless this great city.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Mitchell, and it was a tie, I believe. Everybody seconded. It was unanimous seconding. So all those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Rio? We're waiting. You're the only abstention.
He wants to stay. He doesn't want to adjourn. He wants to stay.
No, I just noticed it.